Right, so this is only going to be a very quick video. This is an English Hawthorn tree. It's been in my collection for well over 20 years. I propagated it into a raft style when I was at my old house, and I've been living here now for 20 years. So the minimum age of this tree is 20 years old. Now the reason it's called a raft style is you can see this root or trunk here. This was the main trunk of the tree. It used to be stood up that way. These main branches were coming out the side of it, so it wasn't a very good looking tree. As you can appreciate, if that was up like that, two big branches going nowhere basically. So I had the idea that I would try and do a raft style tree. So what I had to do was I got a very sharp blade and I cut the bark away down to the cambium layer. I did that in about 5 or 6 places along the bottom of the trunk, and if you can see here, you can see all of these roots that have come out this side here. That's obviously from underneath where one of the cuts were. There's another one there, look. So what I did was plant the tree on its side. I put hormone rooting powder on the cuts underneath the main trunk. I wired the branches up into this position. So these were wired originally, but they're now so thick that they don't need any wire to hold them up. And as you can see, it flowered profusely this year. It's put on all of these berries, which if I wanted to, I could collect when they fall off the tree and keep them over winter, plant them in the spring, see if they grow. I can obviously propagate new trees from it. I've got, if you ask my partner, she'll tell you I've got far too many trees as it is at the moment. I've got round about 200. I haven't counted them for a while, but it's around about the 200 mark, all in various stages of maturity. So I've got things as big as this, just cuttings and things that I've done this year or over the years, up to massive trees. My biggest tree is about 5 foot tall. I've got several of those. I've got one tree which is a group of European beech trees, and the pot is so large and the planting is so heavy it takes at least 4 men to lift it. I will video that in the future, but as I say, it's an extremely large heavy tree. It's made up of a group of 3 that I had planted together for 10 or 15 years. The trunks on those are about 1 inch across, and then last year we added about another 15 smaller beech trees to it. The pot that I've got it in is at least 1 metre long by 3/4 of a metre wide, and it must be at least 4 inches deep. It's a very big pot, costs an extremely large amount of money these years. I did see one in a bonsai nursery that I went to before lockdown kicked in, and they were asking £999 just for the pot. So the planting that I've done on those prices, I think that group is worth probably £2,500 English money. So I've just taken that piece of wire off there. As you can see, there is the old piece of root that it's come from. So I might want to just put a thicker piece of wire on there and bend it into a different position. This one I'm going to stand up as more of a tree, so I'll use this piece of wire for that. So I'll secure that down the side of that if I can get it in there. That's the best place to that's got that in there. Just do this quickly. When you wire a tree when it's in leaf, you need to try and avoid catching the leaves underneath the wire. That's where this little hook helps. You can hold them out of the way. Just need to come up behind it. There we go. In front of that one. Put them to the top, like so. Right. So now, instead of that being the side branch, that can come up and be the new leader of the tree. This can be the side branch. Just twist it that way a little bit. That's better. This one, I'm going to lean away from that. So I need a slightly thicker piece of wire. I'm lucky about lots of old pieces of wire already here. That's probably going to be the right length and the right width. Right, so straighten it up a bit. So just secure that there. Feels like this one might be a bit thick, but we'll persevere with it. Just miss that branch. Through the middle of those two. There we go. Oh, disaster. I thought it was too thick. I'll actually snap the leader off. So, change of plan. This can now be the leader rather than the branch. So that's a good little lesson there. I knew it was that branch, that piece of wire was too thick for the tree. I carried on regardless. Went a little bit gung ho and snapped the top of the tree off, which wasn't what I wanted to do. Just tidy up that cut. Right. So that'll be okay for that. Let me just get some tools. I wasn't planning on doing any trimming on this, but I've just seen a few spots here. You've got two branches coming from the same spot there. We've got this dead piece there. So this is called an English Hawthorn. That is one of the thorns. Piece of white. So that's the actual thorn itself. They are quite deadly. You get that in the end of your finger, you soon know it. They are razor sharp. I tend to cut most of the thorns off of my trees when I'm working on them. If I see them, I just nip them off with the scissors. Just saves you injuring yourself. I haven't worked on this tree this year, so the thorns have developed naturally. So you see them at the base of each of these leaf nodes. So just cut them off as I see them. And one on the end there. So when you're wiring this type of tree, You have to be very careful not to spike yourself with the thorns. They do hurt when they go in, and you'll soon know it when one goes in. So I've got a few little dead stubs and things here that haven't been tidied up for a couple of years, so I'll just take them off. I'm letting this tree just grow in a free-form style really. I haven't done masses of shaping with it. I've left it too late in the year to do any real major pruning. Actually, that should be done in the spring when the new growth comes out. There's another couple of dead pieces there which we can get rid of. So this part here, for instance, you've got this one that's growing down. You don't really need any ones that are growing down like that, so that can come off. I'm just giving it a bit of a tidy up, nothing special. I'll leave most of it as it is. You can see where other branches have been taken off over the years with these scars. This is a very old one. You can see it's the same with these down here. They're probably 20 years old, those scars. Right, I've just seen under here, that branch, I'm going to take off, but there's 3 coming out in the same position there. So I will get rid of the middle one, and I'll get rid of the one on the left hand side, and that leaves those 2. So I think I'll take the lower one off, even though it's got all those lovely berries on it. Right, so that's nearly it. There's another spike there which can come off. There we go. So, future development for this tree, I may sever these 2 and make it into a twin trunk tree, because at the moment I've lost 2 or 3 other branches over the years. There was a nice big one here which I cut off earlier, which made the composition more symmetrical really. It made it look, it was probably nearly as thick as this one, so it gave a bit of structure to this side of the planting. As it is at the moment, we've got 2 dominant trees on one side and these 2 small sort of saplings here. It may be best just to sever it in the middle and have a 2-tree combination next year. So you look at it from there, I can get rid of the branches that go into the middle like that and just train them out into almost like a goblet shape possibly. That's one option. The other option would be to find a couple of extra small seedlings and plant them around just to fill up, make it more of a forest style. I've got quite a few hawthorns in my collection. This is a small one. I've got a very nice one that's probably 2.5 feet tall. It's in a massive great big flower pot. I'm looking at it at the moment. Again, it's put on lots of growth this year. It's got lots of berries on. I must have 15 or 20 of these in my collection, so I could quite easily turn this into a forest grouping if I wanted. I could always plant this in the deeper in the soil so you can't see the original trunk. But as I say, it's too late in the year to do anything like that with it. Next year I'll take this one out of the pot, have a look at the roots, see how much root I've got. Then that will make my mind up as to what the future direction of this tree is going to be. Whether I leave it as a raft style, whether I divide it and just have a 2-tree planting, or whether I turn it into even a small forest. I could do a mixed forest. I've got plenty of other native English trees like beech, elm. You could put 2 or 3 different species together. It's not the normal thing to do, but you could do it. So that's all I'm going to do with this one at the moment. I'll leave everything else for the spring. In fact, I've seen one that's coming out underneath, which I'll take away straight away. Let's just get rid of that. The thing with bonsai, you need to know when to stop fiddling. You can always come back another day. You don't have to take everything off in one go. You don't have to do everything in one day. So the greatest skill a bonsai practitioner can have is patience, really. Unless you know exactly what you want to do with the tree, you've got a definite style in mind, and the tree lends itself to that particular style, then yeah, you can do everything in one go, depending on the health of the tree and the time of year. All sorts of different factors come into play as to what you do when you do it. I'm going to take that off because that's a little bit too thick. Right, okay, I'm not going to do any more. I'm starting to fiddle now, and I'm going to take off branches that I'm going to need in the future, or do something silly. So that's the English Hawthorn. Next year, look out for updates, and we'll see how it goes from there. Thanks very much.